Hello and good day everyone. I am Rhea. Today, me and my partner Lorely Yai will be presenting about the national development policies and impacts. First, we will take a look at different strategies our country uses to support growth and development. Then, we will share some inspiring examples of successful sustainable projects here in the Philippines. Lastly, we will explore how government policies help in promoting sustainability and building a better future for us all. Let's get started. To start with is the analysis of different national development strategies here in the Philippines. So the national development policies of the Philippines are strategic plans and programs implemented by the government to promote economic growth, social progress, and sustainable development. These policies impact various sectors including education, infrastructure, health, and industry. So the purpose of the plans and programs is to boost our economy, advance the social programs, and to ensure the social growth. So once these targets will be achieved, then obviously it will have positive impacts in various sectors. Now let us start with the first national development policy. We have the Philippine Development Plan or PDP. The plan was prepared by the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA under the administration of our current President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. So the PDP is a medium-term plan, usually covering 6 years, that outlines the country's development priorities. So the latest version aligns with the Ambition Natin 2040, which envisions a prosperous and middle-class Philippines by 2040. We already know the Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs aimed at addressing critical challenges like poverty, inequality, climate change, and environmental sustainability by 2030. In the Philippines, SDGs are integrated into the Philippine Development Plan or PDP, which serves as a long-term strategy aligned with the country's medium-term vision, Ambition Natin 2040. So, while SDGs themselves are a broader global framework, their implementation in the Philippines is tied to medium-term plans like the PDP. So, what are the impacts of this plan? First, it boosts infrastructure development. Second, it enhances human capital through improved education and health services. And lastly, it strengthens economic growth by supporting industries, agriculture, and innovation. So the Philippine Development Plan or PDP obviously aligns with several Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs, namely SDG 9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure, SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities, SDG 3, Good Health and Well-being, SDG 4, Quality Education, SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and lastly, SDG 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth. Now, let's proceed with the second program, which is the Build, Build, Build program. It was launched by our former President, Rodrigo Duterte's administration. So the program was unveiled during the Dutertenomics Forum on April 18, 2017. So it is a massive infrastructure development program aimed at improving roads, bridges, airports, seaports, and public transport. So what are its impacts? First, it reduces traffic congestion and transportation costs. Second, it creates jobs in construction and related industries. And lastly, it boosts tourism and investment due to improved connectivity. So overall, it boosts connectivity, improve mobility, and pave way for economic growth and a more modern, efficient future for all of us. So the Build 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 program targeted the SDGs, namely SDG 9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure. So by enhancing infrastructure like roads, bridges, airports, and seaports. It promotes resilient and sustainable industrialization. SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. So by improving public transport and urban infrastructure, it contributes to creating inclusive, safe, and sustainable cities. And lastly, SDG 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth. So through infrastructure projects, it generates jobs and supports economic development. And now, let's proceed with the third policy. The third policy is the industrialization and economic liberalization policies. So, it was crafted by the Department of Trade and Industry or DTI and legislative bodies with significant contribution from economic managers and policymakers. So, the policies that promote foreign investments, trade liberalization, and industrial growth, like for example, Foreign Investment Act, Public Service Act amendments, so on and so forth. So what are its impacts? So first, it attracts foreign direct investments. Second, it expands manufacturing and service industries. And third, it increases job opportunities. So, the industrialization and economic liberalization policies align with several sustainable development goals. First, SDG 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth. So, by attracting foreign direct investments or FDI and expanding manufacturing and service industries, these policies support economic growth and create job opportunities. Second, SDG 9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure. So by promoting industrial growth, strengthens infrastructure and innovation, supporting sustainable industrialization. And lastly, SDG 17, Partnerships for the Goals. So by trade liberalization, it encourages international cooperation, fostering global partnerships for sustainable development. Now, let's proceed with the fourth program. The fourth program is the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program or CARP. It was enacted under our former President Corazon Aquino's administration through Republic Act No. 6657. It was signed into law on June 10, 1988. So it is a policy aimed at distributing land to landless farmers and improving agricultural productivity. So its impacts are first, provides land ownership to small farmers, and second, it increases agricultural output and food security. So the CARP or Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program aligns with several Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs. First, SDG 1, so by providing land ownership to landless farmers, CARP helps reduce poverty and improve livelihoods. SDG 2, by increasing agricultural productivity, it contributes to food security and sustainable farming practices. SDG 10, CARP addresses inequality by redistributing land to marginalized farmers, promoting social equity. And lastly, SDG 15, Life on Land. So by encouraging sustainable land use, it supports the conservation of ecosystems and prevents land degradation. Okay, now let's proceed with the fifth program. So the fifth program is the K-12 education reform. So it was implemented by the Department of Education or DepEd under the administration of our former President Benigno Aquino III. So the Enhanced Basic Education Act, or also known as Republic Act No. 1053-3, was signed into law on May 15, 2013. So it extends basic education to 12 years, adding senior high school or SHS to improve workforce readiness. So what are its impacts? First, it enhances employability of high school graduates. And second, it strengthens technical, vocational education and academic skills. So the K-12 education reform in the Philippines still aligns with several Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs, namely SDG 4, quality education. So by extending basic education and enhancing technical, vocational, and academic skills, it promotes inclusive, equitable, and quality education for all. Second, SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. So by improving workforce readiness and employability of high school graduates, it supports economic growth and decent employment opportunities. And lastly, SDG 10, reduced inequalities. So, expanding access to education reduces disparities and improves opportunities for underserved communities. Okay? Now, let us proceed with the sixth program. So, the sixth program is the Universal Healthcare or UHC Act. It was championed by the Department of Health or DOH and enacted under our former president again, Rodrigo Duterte's administration. So the UHC Act or Republic Act 11-22-3 was signed into law on February 20, 2019. It aims to provide all Filipinos with access to quality and affordable health services. So what are its impacts? First, it expands PhilHealth coverage. Second, it improves access to healthcare, especially in rural areas. So the Universal Healthcare Act aligns with the following Sustainable Development Goals. First, SDG 3, good health and well-being. So by ensuring access to quality and affordable health services, the UHC Act directly supports the goal of achieving universal health coverage. That's target 3.8. Next, SDG 10, reduced inequalities. Expanding healthcare access, especially in rural areas, helps reduce disparities in health services between urban and underserved communities. And lastly, SDG 1, no poverty. So by reducing out-of-pocket healthcare expenses, the UHC Act protects Filipinos from financial hardship due to medical costs. And now let us proceed with the seventh program, which is the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Plan or DRRM Plan. It was developed by the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council or NDRRMC in coordination with various government agencies. So the DRRM Act or Republic Act number 10121 was enacted on May 27, 2010, providing the legal basis for the plan. So it strengthens the country's preparedness, response, and recovery from natural disasters. So what are its impacts? First, it enhances disaster resilience through early warning systems and evacuation plans. And second, it reduces loss of lives and property damage. So the DRRM Plan or National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Plan aligns with several Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs. First is SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. So by enhancing disaster resilience and preparedness, the plan helps create safe, inclusive, and disaster-resilient communities. Next, SDG 13, Climate Action. By strengthening early warning systems and response strategies, it directly supports climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction efforts. Next, SDG 1, No Poverty. Reducing loss of lives and property damage prevents people, especially vulnerable groups, from falling deeper into poverty due to disasters. And lastly, SDG 3, Good Health and Well-being. By promoting safety and timely evacuation during disasters, the plan helps protect lives and health, especially in emergencies. Now let us proceed with the eighth and the last program, the Sustainable Development Policies, Climate Change and Renewable Energy. So, it was spearheaded by the Department of Environment and Natural Resources or DENR and the Department of Energy or DOE with legislative support. So the key legislations include the Renewable Energy Act, signed on December 16, 2008, and the Climate Change Act, enacted on October 23, 2009. So it promotes environmental protection and renewable energy development. And what are its impacts? First, it encourages the use of solar, wind, and hydroelectric power. Second, it reduces carbon emissions and dependence on fossil fuels. And lastly, it balances economic growth with environmental conservation. So the Sustainable Development Policies focused on climate change and renewable energy, still aligned with several Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs, namely SDG 7, Affordable and Clean Energy. So by encouraging the use of solar, wind, and hydroelectric power, these policies promote access to clean and renewable energy sources. Next, SDG 13, Climate Action. Reducing carbon emissions and shifting away from fossil fuels directly supports efforts to combat climate change. Next, SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production. Balancing economic growth with environmental conservation encourages sustainable practices across industries. And lastly, SDG 15, Life on Land. Promoting environmental protection helps safeguard ecosystems and biodiversity. And at this point, we will explore inspiring case studies of successful sustainable development strategies here in the Philippines. These examples showcase how innovative approaches and collaborative efforts have addressed pressing challenges while promoting long-term sustainability. Now, so the Philippines has implemented several successful sustainable development that have garnered not only national but international recognition. First, we have the Bakawan Eco Park. It's located in Kalibu, Aklan. The Bakawan Eco Park is a 220-hectare mangrove forest established in 1990 to combat flooding and storm surges. This community-driven reforestation project transformed a barren shoreline into a thriving mangrove ecosystem, enhancing biodiversity and providing sustainable livelihoods through ecotourism. The park features a 1.3-kilometer bamboo trail, offering visitors an immersive experience in the mangrove forest. Recognized as one of the Philippines' most successful mangrove reforestation efforts, it serves as a model for coastal resource management. So once again, it protects against flooding and storm surges. It enhances biodiversity and ecological balance. It provides sustainable livelihoods for the community through ecotourism. It promotes environmental education and awareness. It serves as a model for effective coastal resource management. And lastly, it offers an immersive visitor experience with its bamboo trail. So, the Bakawan Eco Park targets also the several sustainable development goals. First, SDG 13, Climate Action. So, by combating flooding and storm surges, it contributes to climate resilience and adaptation efforts. SDG 15, Life on Land. So the transformation of a barren shoreline into a thriving mangrove ecosystem supports biodiversity and sustainable land use. SDG 14, life below water. So the mangrove forest enhances coastal and marine ecosystems, providing habitats for aquatic species. SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. Ecotourism creates sustainable livelihoods for the community, supporting a local economic development. SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities. So by providing natural protection against flooding and storm surges, it fosters safer and more resilient communities. Now, the second case study is the Masongi Georeserve. Situated in Rizal Province, the Masongi Georeserve is a conservation area dedicated to preserving limestone formations and biodiversity. Since 2015, it has implemented innovative ecotourism activities such as guided trails and rope courses to fund conservation efforts. The Georeserve has received multiple international accolades, including the Pathfinder Award from International Union for Conservation of Nature for its unique funding model and conservation impact. It stands as a testament to successful private sector-led environmental stewardship. Once again, to summarize, it preserves limestone formations and protects biodiversity. It implements innovative ecotourism activities such as guided trails and rope courses to support conservation efforts. It promotes environmental education and awareness through engaging visitor experiences. It serves as a model for private sector-led environmental stewardship. It also attracts international recognition such as the Pathfinder Award for its unique funding model and conservation impact. And lastly, it contributes to sustainable tourism and conservation in the Philippines. The Masongi Georeserve targets several sustainable development goals. We have SDG 15, Life on Land. By preserving limestone formations and protecting biodiversity, it safeguards ecosystems and promotes sustainable land use. SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production. Its innovative ecotourism activities encourage sustainable practices and minimize environmental impact. SDG 13, Climate Action. Conservation efforts contribute to climate change mitigation and adaptation through ecosystem protection. SDG 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth. Ecotourism activities generate sustainable livelihoods, creating economic opportunities for local communities. SDG 17, Partnerships for the Goals. So the private sector-led initiative and international recognition highlight the importance of partnerships in achieving sustainable development. And that's all for my presentation. The rest of the case studies of successful sustainable development strategies will be presented by my co-reporter, Lorely Yai. Thank you so much.